It's time for another RetroBits road trip, and today we'll be heading north to the System Source Museum just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. The event we'll be attending is a hat trick of retro computing goodness. First, an outdoor swap meet organized by the Vintage Computer Federation. After that, VCF has also planned a repair workshop where all are welcome to bring their own projects or help out other retro-minded enthusiasts. And finally, the host of today's festivities, the System Source Museum, will be open, hosting tours, and giving demonstrations. Here we are, so let's see what deals and interesting stuff we can find. Being that it's my first time here, I want to scope out the scene. It's perhaps a little more sparse compared to some of the bigger events I've been to, but oftentimes quality is more important than quantity. With that in mind, let's have a look around, shall we? Right away, we're greeted with way more interesting retro computer stuff than your average hamfest or flea market. I arrived an hour or so after the 8 a.m. start time, so some of the best deals may have already been snagged. I don't need any more of these systems, so on to the next table. There's a fair amount of PC stuff here, old and new-ish. I'm not yet ready to cover that era of computing on the channel, but I am casually on the lookout for a nice 386, 486, early Pentium class machine, or parts to build one. For a system that wasn't a market success, there sure are a lot of 99 4As still kicking around. Maybe because TI was practically giving them away by the time they pulled out of the market in '83. Still, they hold a special place in my heart, being my first computer and all. There's also loads of Apple gear here today, as we'll see shortly. Who doesn't love free stuff? Or getting rid of old junk? If I had planned better, I would have brought some items to add to the pile. The selection at the table actually improved as the day wore on, and sellers tried to avoid packing up and taking things back home with them. Some vendors had a real eclectic mix of items for sale. A lot of them were asking very reasonable prices as well, much better than eBay in most cases. For example, a pile of Nintendo Wiis were on sale, complete with controllers and cables, each for just $25. These OEM DOS 5 discs are brand new and unused. All proceeds went to benefit the VCF, so I went ahead and picked up a copy. Looks like they've got quite a few sets left to sell, and I spy Windows 3.1 in there too. It felt like there were more Apple systems for sale than any other brand on this particular day. Some amazing deals to be had as well. This clean-looking 2 Plus with Z80 card, manuals, dual floppy monitor and stand was only $200. I would have picked it up, but for lack of space at home. This vendor arrived somewhat late to the party. As if sensing wounded prey, the crowd instantly descended upon him the moment he stepped out. A frenzy ensued and 3 computers were bought and paid for before he even got a chance to unload them from the car. Another late arrival, this one with boxed Amiga games at prices comparable to eBay. He also had a pristine, boxed, possibly never used C64, for which he was asking $400. I've seen crazier things online, but that seems like a hard sell given the nature of this crowd. While the swap meet technically ended at 2, some vendors had started to close up shop around lunchtime. Despite the relatively small size of the event, there was quite a lot of interesting stuff to poke through and people to chat with. Maybe you even saw something interesting that I completely missed or that you've been looking for ages. So why not try stopping by the next time you're in the area? The link is in the description. For $20, you can also reserve your own space. So if you've run out of room for your latest project, there's always the possibility of liquidating some older ones you know you'll never get around to finishing. Anyway, I think I've seen everything, so let's have a peek at what I picked up this morning and then we can head into the museum. First up is one of the Nintendo Wii consoles with accessories that we saw earlier for $25. This generation of game console seems to be approaching the bottom of the depreciation curve, so now's the time to think about scoring one of these future retro classics. This particular example appears to be very clean and features backwards compatibility with the GameCube. Next, the DEC-branded DOS 5.0 discs were just $5, and the money went to supporting the VCF, so it was a no-brainer. Despite the branding, they are supposedly genuine vanilla MS-DOS. It can't hurt to have a physical copy of an older OS because you never know when you might need it. And last but not least, I picked up this Super Nintendo with games and controllers for $60. While that might sound like a lot, I've been looking for a first-generation model for some time now, and eBay prices are routinely around $100 without games, so I'm happy with this purchase. How is it that I ended up not buying any actual computers at a vintage computer swap meet? Hey, there's always next time. System Source is an information technology company that also hosts a museum featuring exhibits from the earliest days of computing technology. Over 5,000 artifacts are on display, and many of them are operational. The museum first opened in 2018, but can trace its origins all the way back to 1981, when founders Bob Roswell and Maury Weinstein opened a business called Computerland. The museum is normally open on weekdays and admission is free. They often host events and workshops such as today's, so check out the link in the description for more info. The museum comes out of the gate swinging, and our first stop is the Cray Research Room, featuring 4 different models of the company's legendary supercomputers. As of last year, System Source now houses the DigiBarn Computer Museum collection that was previously situated in Boulder Creek, California, and is where several of these machines now on display originated. The museum offers guided tours, and founder Bob Roswell recanted some fascinating history about the Link, possibly the world's first home computer and one of the most significant machines in the history of computing, according to some. The system was also the basis for future industrial machines manufactured by the Digital Equipment Corporation, such as the Link 8 and PDP-12, both on exhibition in the museum's mainframe room. Stepping into the main hall now, we have this amazing display featuring the trinity of first-generation personal computers, the Commodore PET, TRS-80, and Apple II, all in beautiful condition. The history of Apple's home computers is well represented in this display, including some immaculately preserved examples such as this IIe Platinum. There's also this real-deal signed Apple I that's still in service, not hidden away behind glass. Now this brings back memories. I competed in and won a good number of time-speed distance rallies back in the day with my co-driver Steve, furiously performing calculations on his CURDA to keep us on time as we arrived at each checkpoint. Before that, I had neither seen nor heard of these devices that were invented way back in 1938 and reigned as the best portable calculators until electronic models became available some 33 years later. On display are some of the greatest hits from the earliest days of computing, right through to the 16-bit era. Chances are, if you had it back in the day, it'll be here somewhere. This particular corner really speaks to me for some reason. I wonder why that is. Yes, that's a Kim 1 just hanging out up there. There are so many other interesting artifacts to explore that I can't possibly show them all. On top of that, the event featured several mini workshops throughout the weekend, with subjects such as retrobrighting and even a demonstration of the museum's 3,500-pound molten lead typesetting machine, aka a very early word processor. If you want to see it all, you'll just have to come and check out the museum for yourself. But for now, let's move on to the VCF repair workshop. Taken from their website, Repair workshops are events which are open to the general public where members of all levels of technical ability and experience get together to help each other repair vintage computer hardware. The workshops are held approximately once per month at the New Jersey location and a couple times per year here at the System Source in Maryland. Around a dozen people brought their own projects or were helping out to repair items from the museum's collection. Knowledge and tools were shared freely, and it was a great opportunity to pick up tips and learn from others. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to film many other projects as I was busy working on my own. I'm still trying to resolve that last remaining issue with my Commodore 1084S where NTSC input is pink, but RGB works fine. All in all, it was a great way to spend the day with like-minded enthusiasts. I highly recommend paying a visit to the museum as well as any other VCF events in your area. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this bit. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.